Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dominic and Dave here, the first ever Double D podcast. We are working out the bugs as we go along here. So we are going to be trying to do this weekly, right?
Yeah, weekly would be awesome.
I would
It'd be fun.
I would like to do like 30 to 60 minutes in that window.
I think that's good.
That way, when we don't have stuff to talk about, we have to stop making stuff up.
right.
We can get off early, and sometimes when we ramble like we do, we'll just keep doing that. So
Yeah, for all the hecklers out there already, probably like, Double D, very funny. Dom and Dave, come on, let's be real.
yeah, tell it like it is. It was funny. We came up with that because Dave said the DJ
Yes.
industry real talk, and I was like, well, both of our names start with D. We can get provocative with the name, maybe get some clicks. Clickbait, right?
100%.
All right. So first episode ever. We are both well-tenured DJs in the industry. We are going to chat about in-house sound systems at venues.
Yeah.
I think there are some venues that when we see them on our work order, we're like phenomenal,
Psyched.
awesome.
It's every DJ's dream to be just plugging into the system in the wall and having the facility provide a sound system, right? So, I mean, for me, when I'm doing like, this is awesome. Can't wait. I'm gonna bring my speakers in. It's amazing.
Quality sound system, you're going to sound good, everything's going to look good. But then there are some that aren't as well. We're blessed where we are here. We have some great venues like Clark's Landing, the Crystal Point, the Mill. Those are the first three. English Manor, that right off the top of my head, they all have in-house sound systems and they all sound great, work well.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about a thing when you get there.
Right.
But there are some other ones in the industry, and that's something, if you're a bride or a groom watching or listening to this, that if they have an in-house sound system, check, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that the other day. Like, what does a bride and groom actually do? Does the facility play their sound system so they can hear it? And if that's the case, then, and again, there's no judgment on any couple that's out there as far as their ear is concerned, but as DJs, we're professionals in the industry, so we kind of know what sound is. So does a bride and groom really know what good sound really is? So that's the first question is, how do you tackle that as a bride and groom? Like, hey, this sounds good, or maybe it doesn't sound good.
Right. And what you said, not to say that any bride or groom is incompetent, but they're just uneducated.
Exactly.
Because I think it's rare. There are very few venues, and I think we can probably count them on both our hands, where you're dealing with the same person for sales, day of planner, and running the party.
Exactly.
Most of the time you're dealing with a salesperson and they get handed off to somebody else for the planning, and then the day of you have a maitre d'. So I also think that sometimes in the sales process, your salesperson at a venue is like, and we have an in-house sound system, that sounds great.
Right.
Turn it on and let me hear it.
Yeah, like let's hear it first before we make a decision.
Yeah. So I don't want to call anybody out on their sound systems or anything like that, but like, for example, the conservatory room at the Madison Hotel.
Yeah.
It is a gorgeous room. If you are looking for a botanical wonderland, we could do a ton with uplighting in there. Yeah. But due to their neighbors and obviously the construction of you're in a conservatory, we have to plug into their house sound system, which by no means sounds bad. But if you are a bride who's looking for a rocking, loud, high energy party, it's just not capable.
Not happening there.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's also, too, some facilities, and you use the Supper Club as a prime example, they do have their own sound system, but they also have, and it was designed this way, have like a DJ booth where it's so tiny, and I remember like the first time I was working there many years ago thinking, boy, I'm like, I can't even fit my system in here. And also, too, for us as DJs, we want to be out where people can see us, out with the crowd. So sometimes it's a limited space, too, other than just the sound quality of the system. So, we've talked to the Supper Club. They're awesome. We're recommended by them, too. And they're okay with us bringing our own sound system, where some places aren't okay with that. I remember we, just not too long ago, not to mention any names, but they were like, you know what, you can't bring your sound system in here, and their sound system was less than to be desired.
Yeah.
So what do you do there?
Well, you know what, Dave? Let's be honest. It was Bogies and Sewell. not that they refer us and not that they don't refer us, and if one of their higher ups is listening to this, you have a good sound system, but when you're jamming 200 people into a room, where half of the room is a tent, the sound system they provide is not the best. So, you know, I used a little veteran savvy when I loaded
That was so
in,
funny, dude.
and
No way.
I threw a little filter on my my outgoing signal, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I don't know what's going on." It was Courtney and Mike. If you're watching this was your wedding. I never told you guys this, but yeah, I threw a filter on my sound system so I could bring in my own gear. Now, listen. Halfway through the party, the maitre d' came up to me and was like, "You're phenomenal. This is amazing." Now, is that because I brought in my sound system and filled the room, or?
I think it's part of it.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, you have way more cahoots than I did. Because when I worked there, I was thinking, all right, so I plugged everything in their sound system, and I was like, oh, it sounds okay, but like again, when the energy starts to flow and the crowd gets packed, you know, we sometimes, you know, we want to maintain that energy, so the volume comes up a little bit too. And I was like, oh boy, this is like, I was on the microphone and it sounded distorted, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So I figured, you know, I haven't worked there in such a long time. I would well, let's bring some low end sound, at least have something in the low end. So
Which, if you are at that place and or work there and their in-house system, that's the only thing that's missing.
Yeah.
The mids and highs are great, but there's no driving low end in that system whatsoever.
And it's a great property.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful place. The outdoor
Unique.
for cocktail hour, very unique, very cool. So I was bringing my sub in, and the guy was like, "Oh, dude, you can't bring that." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Nope, it's policy that you have to use our sound system." So I personally had to I had to just use what I had in their sound system, and again, it wasn't great. The party was awesome, but when you told me that, I was like, wow.
Yeah. So
Wish I thought of that.
If there are any DJs watching this down the road, you could use that trick if you're at a venue that you know, doesn't have a great sound system. Throw a little echo or reverb or phase on your outgoing, and just be like, oh, I don't know, you know, I don't know what's going on. But going back to what you said before, Dave, about listening to the system as a bride and groom.
As a bride and groom, as a couple.
As a couple, I think that's a big thing. And what you should do is listen to it while you're there, where most places that have a house sound system, they can Bluetooth into it, and really let them drive it, because this is something that if you're not in the industry, you don't know. First of all, if you really drive it, you're going to see if it clips, if it sounds overmodulated, all that type of stuff. But second, there's a huge difference between a room empty pumping sound and a room with 150 to 200 people in it pumping sound. The bodies absorb the sound, you hear less, people are talking, there's noise going on. That's why I sound check probably 3 times before an event. When I first get there, to make sure everything's up and working, a second time to test all of my important songs, and then the third time I test is actually while people are in the room and we're getting ready for introductions. I walk out, I make an announcement with everybody in the room so I can obviously get everybody's attention, but also hear the quality of the sound system at that time.
Yeah, it's totally necessary to do that, because even for when you have an assistant, you know, because I have our assistants, sometimes they'll say to me, well, where's the volume going to be? And sometimes it's like in the beginning when there's nobody there and you're sound checking, it's like, well, I don't know, and maybe we'll put it at volume 2 or 3, and then if I need a little bit, I'll give you the, you know, hey, bring up a little
That's
bit.
the international sign for a DJ, right? Like,
turn up a little, or the microphone is down, or like down, which they never have to touch. I always tell them my microphone's always set, but the volume-wise, like you said, makes a big difference when you start filling the room, and also too towards the middle of the night too. When you start getting more people on the dance floor, you might have to creep that up a little bit. But let's just go back a second about the sound system. I mean, personally, I think it's like, for me, it's like lighting. Like, people ask me all the time as a salesperson, like, hey, you know, should we use lighting for our wedding facility, whether it's uplighting or intelligent lighting? I'm a proponent of uplighting, and it's not a salesy thing. And the reason why I'm a proponent of the lighting is because it's like, I use the analogy, like, if you're building a house, right? What's most important for, you know, the lighting? It's like if you have your wall sconces or your, what do they call these things? Like,
recess lighting?
Recess lighting.
Yeah.
I was thinking about recess.
I only know that because we built our house. I would not have known that.
But didn't you take that into consideration?
100%.
Lighting is really important to enhance the room that you're sitting in. So that's why I'm always, when people ask me, hey, is lighting important? And I always say, I think every wedding should have lighting.
Yeah.
No matter what, because it enhances the room, the color's beautiful. I was funny, when we first started, and I don't know how long it's been with uplighting, maybe 6, 7, maybe 10 years, I don't even know. I always thought that it was going to be a problem for video and for photography.
Photographers love it.
Love
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if it's just an enhancer, it's great.
If there are any photographers watching this, we'd love to get your comments on it.
Yeah,
or watch us down the road. Yeah. Any photographer that I've ever worked with is like the depth that it adds to our photos. Yeah, makes them look better.
Yeah. So back to what I was back to circle back now, the importance of lighting, it's just as important as your sound system. And I think when we talk about the quality of the sound system, it's like places like the Crystal Point, the English Manor, Clark's Landing, the Mill Lakeside, the system sounds so good. And I believe today that that's really what's super important, because sound quality, number one, and as we know, being a good DJ, mixing sound.
Yes.
15, 20 years ago, it was like if you weren't doing the chicken dance, there was something wrong with you as a DJ. But now it's all about the music, and if it's about the music, then sound quality, I think, is super important.
100%. Listen, and I might sound like super snobby when I say this, but listen, I'm a QSC guy. I always love them. I've probably used every type of speaker that's out there, and I use a component system. I have 2 different sets of tops and 2 different sets of subs, a small pair and a big pair of each, and I bring them out accordingly to venue to make sure that it sounds big. 1, so at a smaller venue, I'm not killing people, and 2, at a larger venue, so I'm not driving my sound system the entire night redlining it. So.
And it's, to me, it's the same thing with the subwoofer. Now, I might get backlash on this from other DJs, but I don't always bring my subwoofer into a room. Like if I have 75 people and I'm in a small place, like I personally, I don't want to blow them out of the room. Some people just love that low end, a little bit of that low end, which I agree with. But if you have good quality speakers and good sound, you really don't need that. Like I know you're a QSC guy. I've been an EV guy for my entire career, and I think the EVs have a great low end, even on the top area. So I don't need the subs.
Right.
Plus, for me, it's like less loading in, because as I get older, it's like if I have to load in my subs, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I've always been a guy to bring in extra sound, even when it's not needed. That's just the way they am. But it's funny. I work with production assistants on staff, and they're like, "You bring in so much gear, but you load it in the right way." And like all of my stuff's on wheels. They're like, "We're in and out with you quicker than half of the other guys on staff." So, And speaking of gear, if you are a bride or a groom and you're at a venue that has a sound system that we're going to use, whether it's band or a DJ, whatever, make sure the professional you hire is still bringing their sound system with them.
Oh, yes, that's a great point.
I went on our Wedding Wire and I tried to find it earlier today, but I'm pretty sure it was like December of 2018, so the winter before the pandemic hit. We did a wedding. Tom Monaco was the DJ. It was at the Tides, and the Tides does have a great sound system. So this is nothing against them. Their in-house sound system went down, but Tom had his full sound system with him. And in their Wedding Wire review, they literally wrote, "Tom Monaco saved our wedding by having, his sound system." So make sure that, don't, you're at English Manor, so I'll give you a discount because I don't have to bring my sound system. Like, no, you still have to bring a full sound system. Like,
that's a great tip for a couple.
Yeah.
To know, like, sometimes when we're doing sales, it's like, have a couple ask me, have we covered everything? And you talk about prices, you talk about insurance, liability, all that stuff. But this is a good tip for, a couple that's seeking a DJ company, saying, hey, the place has their own system, yes, but do you carry, your gear with you just in case?
Yeah.
Because you never know what happens. And I've always said that too. Like when I go to a place that I don't really know and they have their own sound system, I ask them, what happens if I blow a speaker?
Right.
Am I responsible?
Right.
I mean, I have backup equipment, but am I responsible for that? And most of the halls had said to me, no, it's great, no problem, no worries. So I think, again, talking about the importance of not only having a system that sounds great, but a system, like you said, that if you're a bride and groom, make sure that if you're checking that system out, make sure the, maitre d' or the manager or the owner is peaking that system to make it loud enough just to know whether it's going to
explode or not. They should be doing keep up on their sound system. Like
I agree.
I know the Mill just replaced a bunch of speakers in their sound system. I know Clark's Landing did it not too long ago as well. So
Wear and tear. We do the same thing.
yeah. I mean,
New stuff.
exactly, and that's actually one of the reasons why I use a component system. I use tops and bottoms because that way I'm putting less wear and tear on everything. So,
You could be like Tom Monaco and buy a set of gear every other week.
yeah, that's my wife would not.
Yeah.
Do that at all.
Yeah.
It's funny. Every now and then I come home with gear and I'm like, babe, I need it for work. I need it for work. Whether it's lighting or sound or anything. So
Yeah, it becomes like a new toy. I love buying new gear. It is expensive because it's good quality. We buy good quality stuff, and it's expensive. But again, it's that wear and tear. It's important to have make sure that you're updating your stuff, just like you're updating your music, just like you're updating your your software and everything, keeping up to date on all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's important. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of it. We're kind of right on the mark, Dave.
Cool.
We're at like
Was there any
24
question or
minutes.
anything going on?
No, I
can't
don't got
see.
anything in the chat. I don't know if anybody is in right now, but we're recording everything, and we can also post it up again later.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be. We could post it to YouTube, a couple different platforms.
Yeah.
So if you want to check it out, we'll share it up on Facebook and some of the other social media platforms. So yeah, this is cool, man. I think if we can do this every week, I think it's good to talk about things that. Couples, again, I think you use the word educate, which is a great word.
Yeah.
We're not here to tell you what to do or knock anybody. We're just here to hopefully educate some of our brides and grooms and also couples out there that are looking for DJs and bands to educate you a little more so you can know a little bit more about what's going on. Because I get this all the time. I'm sure you do too. It's like most brides and grooms are like, I'm like, so how's the planning going? Oh my God, it's overwhelming. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and the
It's a
sales
lot.
process, right? Like I'm like, you're supposed to enjoy this.
Exactly.
You really are. So yeah, I mean, as we're heading towards the end of this episode, let's set a topic for next week. What are you thinking?
Oh, geez.
You want to talk about the sales process?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I think it's important because we're into the season now where we're booking a lot of jobs. A couple of our shows are coming up. I think it'd be good to talk about some sales stuff to inform some of our couples, like, what not to do and where to look and what, things like
How to shop.
Yeah, how to shop and what's definitely out there for sure. Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about sales.
All right. So, I mean, listen, Thursdays work for me.
Yeah, I'm good.
We could do that, and then we'll repost this later. So check it out. You can hit us on any social media platform. Our handles are on the screen there. Let us know if you want us to talk about something, if you have questions about something. We'd love to answer them for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you have some things you want to know about, like Dominic said in the beginning, we're veterans in the industry. We've both been in this industry for a long time. So
We don't even say how many years.
No,
we just say a long
I don't
time.
anymore. Yeah, long time's enough for me. I don't say any years. And I think I was actually heard that from Jason Janai. He's like, don't tell people how old you are. Just tell them like you've been in the business for a period of time. So appreciate that, Janai, for sure. Yeah, so that's cool. Like,
Yeah, I have gotten a few messages from people like, "Hey, I'd love to jump on. I'd love to be a guest." So that is coming without a doubt. I kind of canned response everybody. So if you got this response, it's I don't want to like burst through, but I just said we're at the infancy stage right now. We definitely will be looking for guests and all that type of stuff in the future. But
that'll be fun.
we want to get everything underneath us. We just have some basic branding on here right now. We're gonna have get our feet under us, maybe rebrand and get some votes on that stuff and things as well. So
awesome.
sounds good, man.
Cool, man.
Catch up with you next week.
Yeah, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Got it.
Ciao.